afternoon. And last time we had a wonderful walkthrough through the implications of cervical spine mobilization. We did show you a practical demonstration of how mobilization can be done. Needless to say, there are a lot of uh, don'ts and contraindications when it comes to cervical spine. And a quick recap, if we want to go through that, the cervical spine is a very sensitive area with a lot of things going on there, with a lot of structures which are very delicate, which are housed in the cervical spine. Maybe the vascular, it may be the nerves, it's a connecting center between the body and the brain, and anything which it houses the nerves which supply the brain, the blood vessels which supply the brain, the nerves which connect the afferents and the efferents. So anything which can go wrong can affect your entire body in terms of weakness, in terms of unanticipated weakness, or maybe unanticipated participation issues which can come into play. That's exactly what really triggered our interest in the cervical spine. When we started seeing kids who are coming to us having issues which are more than what are seen by the normal eyes. So that's the thing which I think is very important for all of us to understand, that when we look at cases, don't just simply take it. I said that last time also. Don't take them as spastic diaplegia or with the diagnosis which they come up to. So we are going to have three case presentations today, and we will see how we have walked through these cases. What I would like to say is that it was the eye which comes within me, which says there's something going wrong, and I see it, and then that's what happens. There's nothing. Uh, we have been trained as therapists to look at. Sorry, my video was not on. I just realized. So, we have been trained to look at the entire picture by our professors and by our teachers, and just not look at the small part of it, which you call, or which you may say, weakness or spasticity or increased tone. So, think of the why. This is what we have been told, and that's how we have walked the way. So, Sanvi Sinha, Dr. Tejal will be there with us today also. So, Dr. Tejal, over to you for describing how Sanvi came to us, what prompted us to go in for an MRI for her, and how did we deal with her.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. So presenting this case to you all. So her name is Sanvi Sinha, presently who is 12 years old, going apparently to the mainstream school, loves dancing, enjoys with, she has friends, she participates in everything. So basically, first I will just go with the brief history of this child. I want you all to be focused on like understand, and then I'll be showing you one video. And on the basis of video, I would want you all to comment why we are presenting this case, or we are mentioning about this child, particularly with respect to the cervical spine only and this presentation. Okay, so basically when she had come to us, she was 8 years old. She had come to us by Dr. Alric sir with her post op rehabilitation. She had operated for the TA release. So basically she had bilateral TA release. One was 2 years back, and one was 3 years back.
Rachel ma'am, are you there?
Is it Tejal who is lost or me who is lost?
Tejal ma'am. She's lost.
Why is my Wi-Fi not responding? See?
Oh my god.
What happened? Why did that oh my god come? Tejal, are you there or should I go
Sorry,
on?
no, the internet was not network connectivity. Uh, yeah, sorry all.
Oh,
So continuing with her history part, so I was mentioning about the why she was born out of LACS, because the mother had history of oligohydramnios, and she had basically, so when she started developing her milestones, there was a delay by 1 to 2 months, and mother noticed by the age of 9 months that the child is going on toes more. So that was like where they was stuck, and they visited the pediatricians, the neurophysicians, and then she started with her therapy. And then since then she was diagnosed just as a spastic diplegic, but that time no MRI scan was done, just looking at her picture. Then again CT scan in 2009 was done. The ventricular system prominent mild atrophy was shown in that. So she was just diagnosed as a spastic diplegia till then. Later with growth spurt. So basically, when she came to us, she was almost 12 years old, and she was operated for the TA, considering that she must be walking on her toes till that age of life, and then with her growing ages and the growing growth of the bones and the joints, she must have developed that stiffness. So that uh, rigidity or the stiffness at the muscle. So that's why she was directed towards the orthopedic, and then she was operated. So that was the thing why she was operated for her TA. Then coming up to, ma'am, can we move on to the second slide? So just this is one video of her. So please, I want you all to comment with respect to her presentation, and what are the important things we should observe in her, and why we are considering her to present in this cervical topic. You all can talk in between also. Unmute yourself and you can mention so that everyone can correlate just with the video itself in front.
Intone seen while walking on left side more. Mm.
Okay, that's Dr. Vishakha. Okay. Anyone wants to comment on the upper extremities and the trunk component? Right now, if we can see,
And she holds quite rigid the spine. Like she doesn't move
There's scoliosis too.
much.
yeah.
There seems to be a low tone throughout the body. So Isha is saying there is low tone throughout
Low
the
tone.
body.
Yes. There's low tone, there is scoliosis, could be because of asymmetry. So with such kid coming to you,
Basically, weakness in all the four extremities. She's just dragging
yes,
herself.
yes.
Who said this weakness in all the four extremities?
Me, ma'am. Mihika.
Okay. So what makes you feel, and what else is seen? I mean, what makes you feel that
Her degree of freedom of joints is less. The
so
spine.
she's moving
So
with caution? That is something what
yes.
she holds on to
Even if you see the
when she moves.
waddling gait sort of,
Pardon?
she has a waddling sort of gait, like she is trying to fix her
There is
spine
a
there and waddling around.
there is a mild sort of she loses her balance when she steps when there's complete loading on the leg. You can see that there is tumble comes. Okay.
Arms are also into guarded position, seems
So
like.
I can see the right elbow is in constant flexion. He seeks support from the right knee. The left hand is kept.
जाऊया.
हो जाऊया आपण मला 120 ला जायचंय का तिथे?
There is a tilt on the neck, which also there is a internal the feet be going into internal rotation when she walks.
Intoing of the feet, internal rotation. In the adduction component is there. You see. The wrists are flexed, the wrist and the hands.
The right one is more, I think.
more than the left ear. We have one more video of her, ma'am, when she is dancing. That's the next one after this. Next slide. There also we can see her spinal mobility, the cervical mobility in that video. That will be on the next slide. Yeah. That's little big long video. We can just come up with. Here also again we can see the trunk is still there and she more moves from her extremities. That too lot of we can say momentum in between. When if she wants to move her neck, she tries to move it from the, we can say, the lower spine more. She's trying to compensate it with her shoulders with the lower spine more, if you can see there. There's no free cervical movements. So till now we went on the observations. So these are like we are trying to observe the child and understand. So once you start observing this, so what would be the physical examination and what all things will be important as a part of your assessment with respect to what questions you would ask or what physical examination you would be doing, which will give you little bit more idea and why we are observing or focusing this thing and directing towards some rehabilitation. Is anyone saying something? There is disturbance. So we did observation part. After that, you are assessing. You are going. History taking is done. We have taken the history of the child. We have gone through the history timeline, everything. We have come to know that the child has come to us with a TA release directly. So now we are trying to understand whether the child really has this condition, spastic diplegia or something else. And if something else, what all questions would be important to be
Strength,
strength assessment? Yes.
reflexes,
Yes, Dr.
then
Purva, range of motion and strength, the reflexes, that's very important.
limb length, the girth of the limbs,
Yes, limb
then
length and limb girth.
Sensations.
Sorry, Vishakha. Dr. Vishakha, you said something.
Sensations.
sensations you see.
Yeah, sensations.
Sensory
Yes.
evaluation.
मोटर पॉईंटचं मी काय वाचलं पण नाहीये यार. काय करायचं तिथे जाऊन? अंजली मॅम आहे का नाही?
Who is this? Can you mute yourselves?
Please
That
mute yourself. There is disturbance happening. We are not able to.
so sensations, range of motion, girth, limb length.
Limb length.
Detailed history.
Maybe we can take Asia scale in
Antenatal.
her. Can we take Asia scale in her?
Yes,
Dr.
Asia's scale
Gagan, can you mention in detail history what all things are very important to be asked?
Like antenatal, prenatal, during pregnancy, post pregnancy, even before planning the baby,
Okay.
if some other thing, like for the
And,
differential diagnosis, stress in mother or things like that.
anything with respect to her routine, which is very important here, and we should not miss that. Like any component which we have to
ANS,
get.
bowel and ladder.
Yeah,
ANS,
that's
bowel
very
and
important.
bladder.
Yeah, that is very important. And if you see in her MRI spine, I mentioned that she had this ventricular atrophy, right? It was mentioned there, mild atrophy. Okay, so it's might be mixed picture she can show. So if we know that UMN plus LMN sort of like as we are basically trying to correlate her with a cervical dysfunction case. So now coming up to anyone wants to say anything, add anything with respect to the examination and observations?
Ashworth, did you to check
Okay.
if yeah.
Yes.
I would add on. I would add on birth. Birth is added, right?
What is mentioned? Strength, IMT and FMT. That also mentioned. Someone mentioned about it. Respiratory system.
अंकल बैठिए मैं बुलाती हूँ आप बाहर बैठिए
Yes,
5 मिनट
Dr.
में बुलाती
Harshila.
Guys, please mute yourselves.
हूँ अभी भी आते हैं
Yeah.
आपकी पेशेंट से कुछ बोल भी नहीं सकते
Someone is still unmuted. Okay.
What else was saying?
Neuromuscular system.
Respiratory system. Bowel bladder is mentioned already. Yes.
So someone mentioned autonomic nervous system. What in the autonomic nervous system?
Color changes, sweating, yeah, temperature.
Ma'am, vagus nerve also play a role.
I'm sorry, I cannot work on.
Kanishka is mentioning about integumentary system.
Yeah.
Good. What about integumentary system?
Some kind of dryness of skin.
Hmm.
There's a scaly skin
There is some
appearance
amount of skin ulcer,
with the nerves involved.
dryness, there is hyperpigmentation.
Pigmentation.
So these are the things what you should look out for. Good. So should I go on to the next one?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Yeah. So
That's good discussion. Yeah.
So what we felt was that she had also shown a little bit what I found symmetry. Her
Your voice is breaking.
symmetrical. So is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
So you see that, yeah. So everyone felt she was asymmetric diplegia. And then I said, why don't you go and visit a neurophysician once? And she was shown to Pragnya Gadgil. And how do I view present? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was shown to Dr. Pragnya Gadgil, who immediately felt that her X-ray spine was taken and it showed fusion of C2, C3, atlantoaxial subluxation, and basilar invagination. The CT angio showed a dislocation which was 7.7 mm, atlanto-occipital assimilation, and basilar invagination. There was a posteriorly subluxated dens which compresses and displaces the cervicomedullary junction. She was subsequently operated in Cochlea Bain for her C2 stabilization, occipital C2 stabilization and fixation, and then she came back to us for rehabilitation. After that, her participation was full. She participated in everything. She was functionally independent, and she went to mainstream school. And of course, she loves to dance. So that was Sanvi, and only a feeling that something could go wrong in her because of that right-sided asymmetry and her weakness, which she showed, made us think that okay, there should be something wrong in her. That's where Sanvi was. Should I go to the next?
That was the probable diagnosis which we came across. Like she had a history of like when we went to, so the bladder dysfunction she had, but that they never mentioned to anyone that wetting of the pants and this. So there is a condition is basically associated with this numerous other condition and bone abnormalities, including basilar invagination and atlas assimilation, because she has a fusion there, right? So that is that atlas and or C1. The atlas assimilation occurs when first vertebra in the neck gets fuses with the occipital bone. That was the case in it.
So coming to the next one is Nandita, our very own kid, and she is now maybe 3 months old. She was born out of a high risk pregnancy. She cried immediately at birth, normal delivery, but yes, she had some amount of respiratory issues during birth. She was a low birth weight child when she was born. I know that that's from my side, and it's 1 minute. I can go to my presentation. I'm sorry for this, but I'm more comfortable with. Yeah, there she is. So she had a history of delayed milestones right from the beginning, and we had to push her for everything. She had a lot of sensory issues and a lot of, I can say, when I look back now, she had a lot of autonomic nervous system issues. Also, she had fear, anxiety. She also had a lot of tactile hypersensitivity, which we could look at. She had an asymmetry in gait. So subsequently, she started walking. She was one of those kids who comes for therapy when there's something really, really, the mother feels, oh, there's something going wrong, and then the mother rushes for therapy. So she was that type of a child, though she is known to me. But whenever she felt, she came to therapy, took maybe a 10 session package, and then she felt a little difference and she discontinued. So when she started walking, she had asymmetry in her gait and flat feet, and she was shown to an orthopedic surgeon. She was shown to two orthopedic surgeons and one neurophysician. Then she came to us last year in the month. I was trying to fish out her photos, Tejal. If you have, you can show. I did not get them on my. I got them and I lost them again in my effort to put it on the pen drive.
Videos we have, ma'am. Like one video where she has left asymmetry and one on
In
right.
which she had come, the photos in which she had shown spinal asymmetry, she had shown a difference in the girth, she had shown a difference uh, in her limb length as well. So they felt in the lockdown phase when they started observing her more, there is something wrong with her one side. So the left side asymmetry she had when we saw her in the month of September or October, I think. And subsequently, she went to the village and then she went into, when she came back, she developed a right sided asymmetry. So there's a picture of alternating hemiplegia which was seen. So we referred her to Anaita ma'am and thinking that everything would be fine and hunky dory picture, but the MRI which she took, MRI brain was normal, and I really wanted Anaita to do her spine MRI. So the moment she I said spine question mark, and she did an angiospine MRI and
Your voice is
vascular
breaking.
man. Voice is breaking. Internet in Chembur is bad. Possibly better. Am
Much
I
better.
better?
It's
Yeah,
better
much
No.
now.
better.
Better,
Okay.
better.
The MRI showed very massive vascular malformation in the spine. So that is what she was. So the embolization subsequently was done on 18th of November. So it was like before they cut, the laminoplasty needed to be done. So then laminoplasty was first done. I think the dates are reversed. So first the laminoplasty was done, then the embolization was done, and then the second embolization was done. And yesterday or the week before when we went to Anaita ma'am, her genetic genes were sent for testing because her CPK, her all her other metabolic components were in place. Her EMG was normal. Everything was normal. So the diagnosis, she's a hereditary hemorrhagic telangiectasia type 2. So road forward, they've asked for the genetics of the parents. therapy, which should be very consistent. She has been put on blood thinners and she has been put on vitamins. If you can show her video, Tejal, that will be nice. So the very fact is that when I started going into her history and I asked the mother um, that day when we were talking, she had around 8 abortions, uh, miscarriages, and she did not inform us that she had 8 miscarriages. So apparently, I feel she must be a carrier of this problem. Could be, we don't know. So let's see how she was and what she was when she came to us. Has it been there? It is there on the presentation, is it, Tejal? Yeah, that's there. She is.
Yes.
So you can see her having that gait, which is, I think, so much better now. She's so much better now.
This was when she had come in month of August uh, with the left this thing, left hemi, and then in the month of October, September, she had the right hemiparesis. The,
You can see the left side, which is completely deviant as compared to the other side. But every time she had an internal rotation wherever you saw, and this was when she came back, right?
this was when she came back in month of September with the right involvement, right side involvement. We can see her right foot, dragging of the right foot. Even the hand she is holding very closer to the body, the right extremity, upper extremity.
So now what about her cervical spine and what about her therapy? What the road forward is, I do not, and her uncle did that. I want to show you all that video. I do not actively mobilize the cervical spine, giving left, right, up, down. I would rather work on activation of her base. I would rather work on her sensory systems. I would rather work on her postural control, her body image, her body schema. Before even looking at and giving her mobilization of the cervical spine, I would give her that. And that's what people have to understand outside. When she was in the hospital, she was given these movements up, down. I may have a video of those movements which she has been doing, which is not the right way of mobilizing the cervical spine. Just give me a second. If I can show it, I will show. Maybe if Tejal can give me the exit. How do I exit? Oh, it's not exiting.
I stopped the sharing. You can share, ma'am.
Okay, let me see if I have it. I don't know whether it's come. Why is this shown? Okay, this was running. That's the reason. See. So that is Nandita, the way she is. That was her in the hospital. Just sitting. You can see her. That was her immediate post-op status.
काय करताय
So in the hospital, she never moved her neck. She had a great amount of pain, which continued through. So post-op management of these cases, how do you look at it? And the therapists out there were not very coherent of what needs to be done. You can see her. She was guarding herself so much. But I think it is just her destiny that she's really done well. Really done well. So Anaita was just saying that the 7 days when she was in the hospital, both of us were really very next because unpredictable situation, unpredictable the way she's guarding herself. share, share. And you can see the uncle giving her exercises, which I would have really. I shouted at him after that because he is a trainer and he feels he can do whatever he can. So, this is what he was doing with her. Very passive. This was at least a better option. But this was immediately the day she was, you know, she had come to us and she went home and she did all this. Where is the cervical spine mobilization? Yeah. So look at this. This is something I would never do.
One. Bharatwar. And Bharatwar. And down.
So this is a big no-no
And
for
China.
her. Definitely a big no-no. So looking at her, and I did have her videos which I could not find. I believe they may be on the drive which Purva had taken, of how we had really worked on her well, sitting on the swing and giving her a indirect mobilization of the spine. So indirect rotation, indirect way of working on her upper extremity. That is what we had done. So working indirectly for the rotation and for the movement is what we look at when you're seeing such a post-operative case. Okay, so over to the next case. Okay, Amna, Tejal, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
So this is
So
another
this is again.
na? Kids come in crops, as you say, and the last month has been a crop of cervical spine malformations and cases which we felt couldn't be cervical spine have turned out to be cervical spine problems. Yes, this is a very old, very dear one who was following up with us and then did not come and again came back. So Tejal, over to you.
So presenting Anna Sheikh, she's presently 3 years 7 months, with the birth history of born out of LCS. She did not cry immediately at birth. She had hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy third. History of sepsis she had during the ICU stay. She had the birth weight was 3 kgs. She was born in Karnataka at Shah Hospital. So she was immediately started with the physiotherapy at since 5 months of age there, and then she came to us when she was 9 months old we can say the GMFCS level 5. Since then, she was advised to follow up with the pediatric neurophysician. So she's been following up with Dr. Anaita Hegde. Then she was done MRI at the age of 2 years. The MRI showed cortical and subcortical hyperintensities involving periroladic region. Posterior putamen show hyperintensity and lateral thalamic nuclei and adjacent internal capsule. So she basically had a bilateral involvement. In the videos, you can see also later. So after visiting the neurophysician, she was with the differential diagnosis. She was diagnosed with dystonic cerebral palsy with little low tone and dyskinetic movements, we can say. So she's presently on medicines Zapiz, Vexol, and gabapentin. I'm moving on to the next slide, please. So recently, when she's been following up with us irregularly, meanwhile for 1 year she was in break. Again, she started following up with us. So we have the video on the next slide. So just if we can, ma'am, just present the video first and then moving on to this. It's on the next slide only. So again, here these are the her home videos.
But this is a better
Now,
video.
yeah, these are the better videos right now. Yes.
When we had seen her online session, she was bad. She was worst.
She walks with her posterior walker now. She is GMFCS level 3 presently. Her participation is also good. Very bright, talkative child, cognitively good. I want you all, everyone, to look at her neck posture again, her upper extremities. If you see the neck on the second video also, the neck is not there on the trunk. There's a constant movement at the cervical spine, as if she's dragging herself. She's trying to compensate with neck for something, if you see. Especially for her axial tone, she is compensating with her neck, tilting on one side. Even while she is sitting on the swing, you can see the tilt. The tilt at the thoracic spine as well and at the neck as well. So the movement or the rotation component is missing here, and she always initiate any cervical spine movement with a lateral flexion at the neck. If you see, she wanted to look in one video over to the left side, but she tilted her neck and then she was looking. So moving on to this with such right now, still presently she is better in this videos. So just imagine with this the same compensatory movement, the grade was little more than this. So then she was advised for the cervical spine X-ray for the same, because she was showing asymmetry in the spine and the trunk. So if you can see in the X-ray, you can see the fusion over here. Sorry. So she is showing fusion at the upper cervical spine. If you can see at C2, C3. And even the lower cervical spine, I mean, there are chances that she might develop secondary changes.
So manage.
Considering this, yeah, yes, ma'am. Over to you.
So I'm asking everyone what would be the management in her case. What would you all suggest? Who's talking?
Now we know that she has already developed fusion and she might develop other spinal complications which can be developed like big risk for her. So what all things right now is important as she's growing also. She's presently, as I said, 3.7. So what will be your primary rehabilitation systems, or what will focus more?
We mobilize her or not mobilize her cervical spine. So it is mobility versus stability, proximal versus distal. What is your take on that? Why the stillness comes into play? How do you become still?
Talk. Hello.
Pardon?
Dr. Sukanya is saying something now.
Stability,
Facial.
Dr. Shikha mentioned about no mobilizations, stability with proximal work first, not mobilize directly, visual tracking for indirect mobilizations.
For stability, ma'am, proximal muscle work and then mobility.
So, would you mobilize her? Sir? What would be the thing? Would you mobilize
No,
her?
no. If not needed, no.
You cannot. So you may cause issues which could be incidental. It could be attributed to what you're doing. That is something what we should remember. So definitely no manual mobilization of the cervical spine. I would again, as you all said very rightly, that I would work on the trunk more. I would work on the shoulder and the scapular muscles more, and upper extremity functions, which would aid her to participate in her daily life. So, working on upper trunk and upper extremity muscles are very important in her case. Needless to say, she's doing a little good in her lower extremities as compared to her trunk, if you can see her here and her upper extremities. You can see that the upper extremities are not very good. So my goals for the next few months would be trunk and upper extremity as compared to the lower trunk end. So stability in very seriously focused on upper trunk and upper extremity. Give her a good amount of body image and schema which she would get by having her hands into maybe dough, or maybe even having something on her hands which she could follow, maybe some nice ghungroos which could go around in the hand, which could make noise, because she needs to be aware of her hands a lot. She needs to have strength in her hands a lot, and she needs to have alignment of her cervical spine. So Harshula did mention the visual system, and that's a very good way. But again, I would still say a guarded vestibular with vision is something what would help her. I wouldn't give her a vestibular by herself. I would give her a very guarded vestibular with vision. Okay, so that is my take on the story.
And also
Coming,
soft
I think
tissue
we have,
mobilization if required.
yes,
The soft
yes,
tissue, basically myofascial, because she's been
yes,
developed myofascial stiffness.
yes,
Anyone can develop it.
yes. So, looking at the cervical spine and sensory systems, there is a very, very, very close connection with this region has with all the systems. You see, the vestibular system is very close to the cervical spine. The vision is very close, and your proprioception, or the receptors which control the proprioceptive system, are also present in the cervical spine. You have the vasovagal reflex. The vagus nerve also has a lot of impact from the cervical spine. So if you're looking at how cervical spine, the implications of the cervical spine and its functions, there are a lot of impact which it is seen on the sensory motor control, afferent integration and tuning. You have the cervico-ocular reflex and the vestibular ocular reflex and the optokinetic reflex, which control the extraocular muscles, creating clear vision with head movement. The cervicocolic reflex, the cervico-ocular reflex, and reflexes are generated by the afferents in the cervical region and work in conjunction with the vestibular and the visual systems, and give you a graded coordination of posture, and also the activation of the neck muscles. So that's how important our cervical spine is. And there are many syndromes and symptoms which can give rise to cervical spine, cervical instability. It may be as simple as difficulty in swallowing. It can be as simple as a visual disturbance. It can be as simple as a balance difficulty. It can be as simple as a headache. So, any symptom which the child is going to show you, the vagus nerve, you should go back and read the vagus nerve in great detail, because there's a lot of impact on a lot of functions in our children. And if you can see what all can happen here, the triggers are given here. You have the upper cervical instability, can cause cervical spinal cord tension, can cause brain stem compression, Arnold-Chiari syndrome, cerebellar tonsillar ectopia. Now this is again, if we all remember Zamian, we discussed Zamian last time, right?
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. This is again
Ma'am,
coming in.
can't hear you. Can't hear you, ma'am.
There's someone else talking me on me. So there's something which is coming up in his case also. Let's see if we can describe him and we can connect with his case as well. It can also give rise to, as I said, chronic fatigue, a foggy brain, not able to think, headaches, trigeminal neuralgia. If you see, and again, what's his name, Malhar is someone whom I was looking at. The torticollis which he shows can be due to compressions also. So it's very important that if a child who is showing torticollis, anything of this, any minor symptom, major symptom, we all have to understand it's a multidisciplinary approach and nothing else. The child has to be seen by a neurophysician and an orthopedic surgeon both. They cannot not see them. So this is a nice video which I got, which I really liked, and it describes the cervical spine. I won't go into the sensory system because all of us know about the sensory system. I'll go to the direct impact on the cervical spine, which he comments on.
Or interfere with those signals and can change the signal along the or interfere with those signals
Right?
nerves on its way to the brain. And there can be things that obstruct or interfere with those signals and can change the signal along the way. It's like turning up the volume. One of the main areas that can happen, one of the main mechanical areas, is actually in the upper neck. You know, sensory processing is a hot topic with kids, but kids play rough, and one of the things that happen, they take a lot of falls and spills off bikes and trees, and so we don't think much of it, but sometimes it can actually lead to a misalignment in the upper neck and heighten that sensitivity. Some of these things can even happen during the birth process, where as the baby's being pulled out in a lot of cases, you know, the doctors might be twisting and bending the neck. It can misalign the neck of that child, and even from birth they can be left with a heightened sensitivity or even a numbness to some of their senses. And so what upper cervical chiropractors do is they dive in and we're evaluating to see where is the interference. Why is it that the sensitivity of this person is not normal? Can we find the root cause? And we're going to ask those questions and do evaluation. And one of the main areas that we do find it, it is where we're looking, but it's also one of the areas that's most logical for this to happen is in the upper neck. You see, the upper neck is the most sensitive area in the spine. It's the most vulnerable area in the spine. And so when we take falls and hits to the head or run into something, the upper neck is usually the one place that gets interfered with the most. So upper cervical doctors will evaluate the upper cervical spine to see if there's any misalignment in the upper neck that's causing interference in the signals between the body and the brain, which can either amplify it or diminish it. It doesn't matter. It can go either way. But what we're trying to do is correct the alignment so that we're removing that interference, which gives normal sensitivity back to the child or the adult. It doesn't really matter, but it restores normal sensitivity so that the world around you is interpreted correctly. And it becomes much easier to handle when you feel the world right. So I highly recommend if somebody's having trouble with that sensory integration or the sensory processing, that it is an essential step to get checked by an upper cervical chiropractor and see if there's any interference with the upper neck. The upper cervical centers is located in both St. Petersburg and Brandon, the Tampa Bay area. We'd love to talk to you to see if you're a candidate.
Coming to a few activities. Can you cover your right eye on the outer side and climb up and down the stairs and cross an obstacle? Can you do it? You may be able to do it, and with great difficulty. You may stumble, you may fall, you may have to take something, someone's help, you may hit yourself. Without moving the neck, can you turn to either side? It's not possible, right? And keeping the neck side tilted on one side, can you look behind on the opposite side? It is not possible. And if someone is talking to you, suppose a teacher is giving some instructions to the child and he cannot conform to the instructions because he cannot upright his cervical spine. So these are implications which sensory systems alongside with the cervical spine can give you. And so it's very, very essential to understand that these systems work hand in hand with your cervical spine. So whenever you're looking at cervical spine, look at your vestibular system and look at your visual system. Two basic systems, and how is the auditory system also impacting the range of motion in the cervical spines. These are things which we would suggest in addition to whatever you all had mentioned in the form of examination. Now coming to therapy and adjuncts, definitely holistic approach and team rehabilitation. We do look at orthosis and post-op cases, but orthosis is very minimally given for these kids. What I do recommend is a lot of taping and pro-wraps or super wraps, cervical mobilizations whenever you can and when it is needed. but every mobilization needs to be followed up with a strengthening. Matrix, which is very, very helpful in autonomic nervous system cases who show autonomic nervous system issues, as well as cases who show a lot of stiffness wherever they may be contributing to the cervical spine. Fabriform, kinesiotaping I mentioned, and something which Tejal mentioned was a very good word is cervical spine surveillance. Now, cervical spine surveillance is very well known in cases with Down's syndrome. All of us know that their upper cervical spine is, because of the ligament laxity, they are prone to having dislocations. But the other kids also who come to us and who show any of the signs which we have mentioned, do go in for a cervical spine surveillance. Then also look at other sensory motor perspectives. Look at how you can look at the bowel and bladder. And the last but not the least is aquatic therapy, which is very good. It works with the children well. Put them into sports like dance. Avoid high impact sports and like karate or maybe anything which goes in the end ranges is something what I would say a big no-no to. So that is what we say. See, coming to the last case which we have for you all is Jacob. He had torticollis. He was born breech presentation. He had come to us at 3 months of age. He had handwriting issues right from the beginning. It didn't subside later. It was better. It didn't subside. It was still there and it is still there with him. He stopped therapy at a year of age and then restarted at 10 years of age for 2 years. He has achieved all functional and participation. But again, he was diagnosed by Anita as what syndrome? Sukanya knows the syndrome. What was the syndrome?
Jacobs?
Yeah.
Mother has, ma'am. V. Ladens mutation.
So
He
this
is carrier,
is
ma'am.
So that was Jacob, and post surgery, and that was the type of collar which was given to him. And this is Amna, I think, right?
That's post, like,
Yeah.
yeah, recent one.
Yeah, these are the various taping ways in which we can give. We can also give a taping anterior and posterior for the neck muscles. So I do have something which I can share. Jacob's mobilization. Just give me a second.
It's there, ma'am, I think on the same presentation.
No, it was not there. So just give me a second. I have.
Ma'am, it's there on the slide. Jacob's videos.
Should I share? Okay,
No,
it's there.
not.
Okay.
So, this was immediate post-operative. You see the amount of spasm and guarding he has.
Don't skip. We lose it. When it's loose, it will move easily.
So very slowly, as I shown you last
Then,
time.
can you loosen it? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
You can see that I've supported him completely between me and the surface.
Put your shoulders down. Good. She's just moving your neck.
It's very
that's
essential
all.
to
Come on,
practice
go to the left.
cervical mobilization.
Go to the left. Go to the left. Go to as much as you can. Come on. Good. Good job. Okay, Excellent. 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 Nice.
Maintaining the traction is an important component of it.
Oh. That's it. Done for me. It's okay. It's okay. It's and okay. Look to the right. It will go fast. If you hold it loose, it will be like this. Okay.
So I'm asking
little
you
bit
to
more.
do it.
Little bit more. Come. Good job. Come. You're doing well. You're just doing well. Give me a little 5 degrees more. Give me 5. Good. A bit. Huh? Good. Wonderful. This is so awesome. Come little bit more. Little 5 degrees. Nice. Nice.
So very gentle. Since we're running out of time, I'll also show his taping. So this is the way I tape.
Yeah. When your body weight, it's not exactly. Okay? You look at my head always and your mirror. So some. And nothing for the next 1 month except to back it into place continuously. The work you have done, you have to do it. Okay. Just taking the next time. Let me know. So you can also think in a long run of a pro rack for him. But I would still prefer tape like this.
So that was the next taping what I had done for him. Yeah, that was it. And these are the evaluations which we had seen when he had come.
This is also not usable. And the thumbnail and hand service can be give this into the base. Pressure. Yeah, into the base. Sorry. You can see how he's sitting asymmetrically here. I want this shifted into the side. So this is for you. Okay. You'll have to give that video to these guys one
Yes.
okay? And second thing, this.
You can see just a correction or a minor correction gives so much amount of difference.
See, because they won't know the nuances of working. They will do movement. Something and but so this will be set to get a mirror for him. Yeah, big one at home where we are staying, you know. When I show him my neck and his neck in the mirror, then he immediately corrects it. But my worry, ma'am, when I'm putting the collar also, I don't recommend the collar, maybe for the first few days, but later on. Is it? Can you speak to sir? Because he said don't take off the collar. No, that's what I said, first few days, and then we'll remove it. No, Jacob is dependent. 3-point what collar? You just call the 3-point collar? And right. Okay. Because, yeah. Correct your head.
Okay, so yeah, I know what it is.
जो बोन्स नहीं दिख रहे थे अभी वो भी दिख रहा है आफ्टर लीलावती स्पोर्ट एक आया रंटा है